Hello.
Hey, Troy. It's Pete. How you doing?
All right, Pete. How you doing?
Doing well today, buddy. So on my Travel Wins podcast today, I'm very honored to have Cowboy Troy Coleman, a country music superstar in my book.
Oh, man. I'm a bit of an oddball, Pete. I'm a bit of an oddball.
That's what makes you a superstar. So a little background on Troy that I know of. Hopefully he'll fill in the blanks. Had your first self-released album in 2002?
2001. 2001.
Okay.
Yeah, I had an EP in 2001, and then there was an album that came out in 2002 of different material. But yeah, go ahead.
And then you had your first studio album in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I played Chicken with the Train, got all the way up to number 40 on the Billboard Country charts. So amazing. Just came out. It was about a week ago.
Couple weeks ago.
With your new album, Laugh With Me. Part of the Music Mafia with Big and Rich, Gretchen Wilson. Grew up in Dallas, Texas. Can't go wrong there. Went to UT. Just went back and got your MBA. I know that for a fact. Married. Triplets. Not just 3 kids, but actual triplets. Thank you for coming on. I very, very much appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
So, with everything you've got going on, like today, I know you're in Colorado. This weekend, you're going to be in Kansas. The week after, you're going to be in Georgia. The week after that, you're going to be in Missouri. How much traveling do you think you do on an annual basis, on the average year?
I would say we're probably out about 100+ days a year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you factor in show days, but a day of travel going to and coming from, we're about 100 days, 150 days a year.
Just a ton.
Yeah, it's kind of that gypsy lifestyle, that road dog lifestyle. You're out on the road, you're a hunter-gatherer kind of a thing.
No, I hear you. I mean, I'm in the same boat. I don't know if I get that. Well, I probably do. I have to add it up.
Yeah, we're like carnies, man.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when you get to a town, you stay about 14, 15 hours.
Yeah.
You do your bit, and then you pull up stakes and roll to the next town.
Since you're an overnight success.
Yeah, overnight.
Do you ever find yourself wanting to see more of the like, you're in Colorado right now, but you've been to Colorado several times, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever find yourself trying to find new things to do or see while you're there, or is it just get in and get out?
It depends on the amount of time that I have.
Okay.
Sometimes if you get to a particular, location and you've got a little extra time, like if you have at least a night prior to or a day off the next day, I would consider things like, some of the better restaurants in that particular area.
Right.
And in the mountain states, I mean, years ago, when I had a little bit more time, I would try and, find places to hike or take photos. But, I don't really have a whole lot of time for that here lately, But I think the last time I was in Colorado, when I had a little bit of time a few years ago, like a day or two off, I found a hiking trail and then went up and took some photos and stuff like that. But it's not a whole lot of time presently, with the new album and the increased responsibilities that I've got with the Big and Rich tour. So, but it's fun. It's fun to do it, and I still try and find a good steakhouse. If there's a good one. Matter of fact, when I got into town, the Uber driver, picked me up. I said, "Hey, you have a good steakhouse in this town?" He was telling me a bunch of options. So, and then I asked when I got to the hotel. So I'll probably find someplace around here to grab some groceries.
You're gonna go for some pork chops?
Pork chop, yeah. The song off the record, yeah, man. That would be a good idea. That'd be interesting. But out here, it might be something like elk or bison steak or something like that.
Yeah, the bison's good in Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. So it might be an opportunity. I think some of the best elk tenderloins that I had, interestingly enough, was at the YO Steakhouse in downtown Dallas. And
always got to go back to Dallas, don't you?
Well, yeah, but when you think about it, though, I mean, I've eaten at a lot of different places, but interestingly enough, you know, that was probably one of my top two. The other place that I really liked the steak that they served was at a place called McGill's on 19, which is at the Hard Rock Casino outside of Tulsa over in Catoosa, Oklahoma. Yes. I have not had a steak that good in quite some time. The last one was over at the YO, but you know, if you get a chance to go to Catoosa, Oklahoma, eat at the Hard Rock Cafe, Hotel, Casino, go up to McGill's on 19. That's their steakhouse. It's worth it if you like steak.
I'm going to write that one down.
Yep.
I'm going to write that down. No, with all of the traveling you do and being married and kids, how do you do a work-life balance?
Well, it's not something to take lightly. I mean, you know, when I'm home, I'm, you know, involved with the kids and the wife, and, you know, make sure that participate with what they're doing. And see, the thing is we're mostly busy during the summer. There is some work that we have in the fall and winter, but it's not nearly as pronounced as it is during the summer festival season, and it's really late spring, early summer, all through summer, and then early fall. So April to October is when we're the busiest, but there's a lot of downtime when we're at home during the fall and winter and the early spring. So, I mean, you know, that's taking the kids to their basketball games and practices and that kind of thing, and attending other school functions and family functions. During the summer, it's a little bit more difficult. Generally, with country music, we're out on the road. I would say Thursday. Generally, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, home Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I got it.
You know, this week was last 2 weeks have been a little bit different just because the first week of June is Country Music Fest in Nashville. So all the country music fans are there and all the artists are there. And then this week, you know, we were doing some video shooting. So it was a little bit different this week, but normally it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday on the road, home Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so that's a lot of time to be spending at home to get to hang out with the kids. I mean, last summer, you know, taking them to the movies, going places, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, you know, you just have to make sure that when you're home, you're actively involved.
And you're present. Because I do the same, you know, for me, I'm like, I just got my new season to go out and start selling. And, but I've had a few weeks off. So, you know, exactly right. I mean, for me, when I'm home, I'm getting my car fixed, going to the doctors, the dentist, you know, all the things you think about when you're on the road that you got to get done. Yeah, the yard, and this, and the honey-do list. You know, I put a table together yesterday for my wife. Because, you know, the next couple of weeks I want to be out traveling. I gotta hit the road, and I try and spoke out. I'm like you know, in the sense, I mean, you're doing a lot of it via flying, but you know, I'll go down to my San Diego County, hit those stores, and then make sure I come back, and then spend the weekend at home. I'm just the opposite. Like, you're busy on the weekends, I'm busy during the week.
Yeah.
But then I'll spoke up to Central California, and then come home, and then I'll spoke back up to Northern California and come home. But you're right. It's just a lot of planning and making sure you're present when it happens.
Yeah, that's the way it's got to be done. You know, and I do multiple jobs, so I mean,
yeah,
you know,
you do.
I mean, it's like when I do have a day off from the road, I'm not really a day off because I'm either working emails or phone calls, trying to set up opportunities. You know, I've got some other stuff coming up that I'm going to be doing on days off from the tour, so it's going to be a little bit more work, but our kids are older now.
Yeah.
And they're able to, you know, kind of entertain themselves with, you know, whatever they'd like to do in terms of television or movies or video games. But, you know, it'll be the stuff on the days off will be more a matter of you go out during the morning, you're coming home in the evening, because it'll be regionally based, close enough that you can do that. So that's going to be, at least one more thing to add.
Well, with all the traveling you do for the music end of it, you hustle more than about anybody I know.
Yeah, I learned that from my pop. My dad, my first job out of college, I was an HR management consultant, and working with him, helping him to develop all kinds of, HR processes. Some of them involved promotional testing and development, all kinds of training processes. But, one of the things I asked him one day, we were sitting in the office, I'm like, Dad, why do you got like 5 or 6 projects going at once? Why do you have so many projects going at once? It's a lot to deal with, and because you work a little bit on one project, a little bit, and he's great at what he does. He still does HR consulting, and he's
awesome.
He's still at it. And one of the things he said is that it's multiple streams of revenue, son. You have to make sure that you are always doing multiple projects, because when the money from one dries up, you have to be able to have other streams of revenue coming in to make sure you can handle your bills and all the other things that you got to take care of. Some things you can't control. Sometimes you have a client that's a slow payer.
Yeah.
They're a steady client. They work with you a lot, but maybe they're a slow payer. Then you have some that you may work with once, and then you may not see them again for another few years. You've got to have multiple projects in order to make sure you generate enough revenue. So with that, here I am. I'm doing all these different things within the tour, but then also outside of the tour, I'm doing other things for my own career, aside from what I'm doing musically. So
it's not even just your career of music. You got the new bar you just opened up in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, it's been around for a while, and that was more of a licensing deal. That was more of them licensing my name. I'm not hands-on, so to speak. I'll give them ideas on how to market what they're trying to do and help build the base for that. But a lot of what I'm doing is, marketing for my own stuff, everything from hick hop merch, hick hop kitchen stuff that, people are like, somebody hit me up and said, hey, we're getting ready to do this reality show, and we would like to maybe have a segment where we feature your hick hop kitchen, because we're always watching you cook on your social media stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's look at that. And then, I'm trying to get more into voiceovers. So I just had a conversation a day or so ago about trying to get more into voiceovers for other people who have television projects that they're doing or radio stuff. And then, I'm trying to get more into marketing for other folks, beverages and things of that nature. So, there's a lot that I've got, a lot of irons in the fire. You don't want to focus. You don't want to be so spread out that you can't maintain quality.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, but you don't want to be so narrow that you don't have enough of a broad skill set. You need a broad skill set. So you don't want to get it so narrow that you become so specialized that that's the only thing you can do, because the marketplace changes pretty quickly. So you got to kind of keep your ear to the ground, so to speak. I spend a lot of time watching business news and watching business reports and, reading those kinds of things, because, every now and again something will kind of scroll across the screen, well, this is happening in this particular area. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I wonder how that would apply to what I can already do if I have that skill set. And if I don't have that skill set, is it something that I want to spend the time trying to acquire that skill set? So, you could do it. You could do it a number of ways, but you got to be you got to be prepared for change, because it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. And it's just like the music business, and in general, people look at how the way fans consume their music has changed so much. I mean, it started out where, back in the 70s you had 8-track tapes, and in the 80s there were cassette tapes, and then in the 90s they became CDs. I mean, vinyl's always been around, forever, but, then in the 90s, vinyl started fading and was kind of pretty much out of there.
Yeah.
And now it's making a comeback, but then again, there are only so many people that want to spend money on vinyl.
I'm going to ask you, how weird is it we're about the same age, just to see vinyl making a resurgence as a nostalgia thing. I'm like, no, I still have my albums.
Yeah, well, it's cool for those who still have them.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I look at things in terms of the ease of moving your product.
Absolutely.
So if you're out at a festival, I spend a lot of time at festivals, I spend a lot of time at merch tables. So I see what sells, and I see how much of it sells. You're going to have a difficult time trying to sell vinyl at a festival, because nobody's going to walk around with that. Yeah. They're not going to carry that all day. Yeah. But you would have a much easier time selling something smaller, like obviously a CD, or perhaps a digital download card. Now, the problem with the digital download card is if they lose that card, then they've lost. As an artist, if they lose the digital download card and they haven't downloaded the music yet, they lose the card. You may have the money, but you don't get the credit for the album sale until they download the music.
I gotcha.
So, I mean, it's all cool. Yeah, you might sell 100 of them at a festival, but if they haven't gone and accessed the music and accessed the website to download it, then you don't get the credit for the sale. Now, that's why you try and encourage these fans, because the majority of people that go to these festivals are, 18 to, say, in their mid-30s, yep. the ones that are there all the time. So you look at that, you try and encourage them to buy digitally, because many of them are consuming their music digitally, whether it's through a subscription service or if they're consuming it, by buying a full download of an album or buying a download of a single.
Yeah.
And now the hard part is trying to get people to buy albums, because if you look at it from an economic standpoint, if you are spending $15 for an album, why would you do that when you can spend $15 a month for a premium subscription service and get
everything?
Unlimited downloads of any song available.
Right.
That's the difficulty. Now, then on top of that, when you're talking about getting credit for your SoundScans through Nielsen SoundScan, when you're trying to get those credits for that to make sure it goes towards gold status, platinum status, etc. Now they've changed the formula on how they calculate that, where there are a certain number of streams, digital streams,
downloaded, yeah,
that count as a single download.
Yeah. So
if you get 1,500 streams, I believe it is, it counts as an album equivalent of one album. So it's kind of crazy. The numbers seem inflated. It seems inflated. Like, oh, man, it had 40 million, streams.
Yeah.
But how many downloads does that count towards? Well, you got to do, 40 million divided by 1,500, and then that'll, you do the math in your head if you want to, but then that gives you your album equivalents.
So, the video downloads and the views, or is that a separate?
Views, I believe that counts as streams too. I believe that is. It's been a minute since I've looked at it, but it's kind of a weird formula on how they're doing it, but I get it. It's just one of those things.
It is what it is.
But you want to encourage them to buy digitally, because they're going to keep their phone.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're not. They may lose an autographed CD, but they're going to keep that phone as best they can. They're going to keep it safe. They're going to put it in their cargo shorts or whatever it is, even though most people quit wearing cargo shorts anymore. But they're going to keep it as safe as they possibly can.
Absolutely. I mean, it's their lifeblood. They'd rather have that than their car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was telling a story, and I was in Denver. I was flying to Denver for a sales meeting, and I'd left my phone in my wife's car as I was charging it on the way to the airport.
Oh, no.
So when you get to you don't realize how much you're using your phone until you don't have it.
And you got to go find a local store that you have your contract with. Say, I need something. You buy a new phone.
The first issue was, okay, I'm at DIA. I need to call the hotel to get my shuttle. I don't have a number. I don't have a phone. I had to find a payphone, man.
They still have those? They
do, and they're free in Denver.
There's 3.
Free.
Oh, free. Okay. Wow.
That was a good story. You know, the artists I've talked to and that I know on a personal level, you know, are they're not. Well, some of them aren't complaining, but like I said, it is what it is. But they have to tour. They make their money on touring now because they're not doing it on the album sales anymore.
Correct.
So they just go out and tour and tour and tour.
Well, you have to anymore because your album is your calling card. You know, like I was saying, most people don't purchase albums where you used to be able to sell, you know, thousands of records and hope that money would sustain you. You know, you can't really, you know, that's just your calling card because many people are either streaming it, like I say, or they're listening to it, hopefully on the radio if the radio's playing some of it. But, you know, you got to go and it's your calling card to get people to come out to your live show and hope that they'll spend, because you're going to get money off that ticket. You're going to get money off of merchandise that they sell, your T-shirt sales, your knickknacks, you know, beer koozies and keychains and all, whatever else you can sell. That's how you're going to make your money. Because, I mean, especially if if you're an independent artist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, record deals are cool, but the record deals are such that the newer ones, I mean, it used to be, you know, you get an album deal. It's like, oh, this is cool. Way to go. I got me a record deal. And then they promote your album, and then they make you a superstar. Everybody knows your name. You're on TV. You're on the radio, and you're playing all these festivals and concerts and everywhere. But now, the way the economy has changed with the emergence of all these download services and with the Napster thing that happened back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of evolved into all these other file sharing services, and now it's like streaming services. Now the record labels, the majors, you know, it costs them a lot of money. So they're trying to figure out how to get back in the good graces, trying to get the money back. So what they're doing is they have these 360 deals.
Yeah.
And with 360 deals, you know, they'll sign you to a record deal, but they get a piece of your album sales. They give a piece of your merchandising sales. They get a piece of ticket sales at the show. I mean, any endorsements that you might get. You know, the 360 deals nowadays are basically how people are getting, how the record labels are trying to recoup, which they probably will never get back.
Yeah, I was going to say they'll never get.
But they're trying to get some of it back. And so, you know, another thing is, another way for the record labels, if they were really wanting to maintain a semblance of strength in as an alternative source of income, would be purchasing venues. Because having the venues, if you own the venue,
you get a piece of that too.
You're going to get a piece of the ticket sales. You're going to get a piece of you're going to get the concessions.
Yeah.
All the beer, the wine, the liquor, the food, parking. I mean, if you look at somebody like Jerry Jones. Look at somebody like Jerry Jones that owns the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he talked about when he first bought the Cowboys, I believe he said, I was watching an interview, and I think he said he bought it for $41 million back in the late 80s.
Yep.
So then, fast forward now, the Dallas Cowboys, according to Forbes, I think is worth over $4.3 billion.
Yep.
And they are the
valuation. It's crazy.
They are the number one valued franchise in the world, in the sports franchise. That's over Man United. That's over the New York Yankees. I mean, they are the number one sports franchise. Now, you think about it. Jerry Jones owns the stadium where the Cowboys play. He owns their practice facilities. He owns parking around that. He owns all the concessions. The Cowboy Stadium holds capacity is over 100 and something thousand people. Can you imagine everybody? What if everybody bought one soda?
Yeah.
And whatever the cost of the soda is, like $7 or something. I don't know. I haven't bought a soda there in forever. But say it's $5. I mean, you got 100,000 people. That's $500,000 just in soda. But let alone
it costs
when people,
a dime.
Think about it. Think about the money that's made on concessions alone. Not to mention the ticket sales.
But then they also sold the name. They got money from AT&T for the sponsoring of the stadium, right?
Of course, you got your naming rights of the venue, and they host all kinds of events there.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the 8 home games per season for football, but you've got college football that comes in, and they'll have the conference championships, or they'll have
the high school championships are there.
High school championships there. You'll have bowl games. They even have a setup where you can come and play college basketball tournaments there. And the national championship of basketball that was there. All the people that come in, sold out house. I mean, that's the way you do it. So it's ownership of real estate and venues. So how would you do that? Music wise, start buying venues, and then anybody that plays there, you get a piece of it.
Why don't you think they're doing that more aggressively now?
Why? Why are they not? Or why?
I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I'm trying to think. The Orpheum, any of the 1500 is the LA Shrine. You would think Warner's would buy it, or one of the many music labels.
Well, I mean, you've got places like Live Nation and AEG that own a lot of. Those are the ticket agencies that handle. The promoters. Those are the big promoters.
Yeah.
And so you have some of them that will do deals like Ticketmaster. They handle all the ticket processing. So there's an opportunity to have a team up doing things like that. But but they're starting to buy venues as well and buying festivals.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
So you have these big these promoters buying festivals and buying venues. So
they're going to get a piece of everything then.
They can.
Yeah, I mean, conceivably.
So if a label was wanting to do that, the label would probably have to want to get into promoting shows, which is, you don't necessarily think of them doing that, but maybe if they would be more inclined to teaming up to do some other things in that vein, that might be interesting to see.
Yeah. So let me turn around and ask you a question kind of based on that. You just got your MBA, 2 years ago?
Actually, a year ago, January, a year ago.
Okay, so a year and a half.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Well, it's June, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Time flies.
So, one of the songs on your new album is Laugh With Me is Dues.
Yes.
It talks a lot about that. How much do you think musicians, bands, or solo artists just think, hey, I'm going to write a good song. I'm gonna go out and tour and I'm do a video and I'm going to become a multimillionaire.
Well, I think that we all started out that way. Well, I think we all started out with those dreams of, you write a hit song, you get all on whatever video channel you want to be on, and everybody wants you to play their festival or play their concert, and then it's a sold out house every night. That's the original dream.
It was like that for a while.
Well,
and if you had a number one hit on the and you had the payola with the radio stations, and your label could go out and grease the wheel of a famous DJ and get your song on there, and then you get a video on heavy rotation, you could be a hit and not even know what they look like. Well,
perhaps, but you think about it, all the years that it took to get to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, people didn't hear about me nationally until 2004 and 2005. But the years of, playing and DJing parties in college and jumping in clubs, when I was in college and fresh out of college, just trying to, let people hear about me or know what I was doing. I mean, and then when I finally put out my first indie EP in 2001, I had a bunch of copies of it. I was like, man, I'm going to sell all of these. I'm going to make a ton of dough. And, it's like it wasn't that easy. And people were looking at me like, yeah, that's cool, bro, but I don't know if that's going to work. So no thanks. And it's like, wow. And it's one thing to think that you can do it. It's another thing to have the opportunity to at least try, because there are a lot of things that you have to overcome in order to get to that point. And
you got to work hard. I mean,
at whatever you do. Exactly. And, if you don't, it's not going to come easily to you, because there are people who have tried long before you that they're not going to make it any easier on you because they had to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
And, it's not like, hey, man, you got it easy. Oh, this is easy. It's not like you could just show up and walk in and start selling 1 million albums. It's just not that easy. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not very likely that you could just walk in off the street and start selling 1 million records. It's very difficult. So when I wrote Dues, that I originally wrote that as a song, and it was in 2002. And then this year I decided to put it as a spoken word piece.
Yeah.
Because when you hear it, it talks in such a fashion that people will listen to every word and understand, like, oh, he's serious. It's not just kind of a tear in my beer kind of a thing. It's like a serious bit, because, the stuff that I talk about in that spoken word piece are things that I had to deal with in real life. It's not made up. It's actual stuff.
Well, that's why I think it's not just towards the music industry, because that song relates to everybody.
Yeah, it's you can find something that'll kind of make sense to you, no matter what you're trying to do. You could be an athlete in high school or college, or want to be a professional, acrobat, whatever it is. You're going to have a hard time. You got to pay your dues. It's not something that's going to come easily to you.
Well, for me, a lot of people have flat out told me to my face, "Oh, you're so lucky you got the job you got, and you got a big account, and it was handed to you." I'm like, really? 20 years of sales, some very crappy jobs in between, obviously.
Oh, well, yeah.
Recessions, changing of markets, everything else I had to deal with over the last 20 plus years. Oh, shoot, I hate to say it's 30 years now. So now I'm lucky. That's like Chris Stapleton being New Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
It's like
all the years that he spent playing for people, hoping people would listen. People don't understand. And whether you're thinking of sales, whether you're thinking of banking, whether you're thinking of music, people only see that small window. Like in music, for example, people only see the 1 hour show or the 90-minute show or 2 hour show. They only see that piece of your day. They don't see the fact that you got to get in early in the morning, and the band and crew have to start unloading gear, and people setting up and getting the stage ready, and then getting everything set, and then making sure you've got power to all your equipment, and then making sure that everything sounds right, and all day long.
And everything that can go wrong in between.
Yes. You're dealing with the elements. You're dealing with, anything that may have, what if somebody ate something and they're not feeling well? What if? You're dealing with all the what ifs and the maybes, and you're dealing with that all day long, and then you have the opportunity to do the show. And then once the show is over with, then you pull all that stuff up, load it back in, and then roll to the next town. So we're only in a town about 14 to 16 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. They only see that one little bit. Yeah, it's a fun job, but it's still a very involved job. And, everybody, all the musicians, it looks easy.
Yeah.
It looks easy to the fan because that's what they worked hard to make it look easy. You look at the guy who plays guitar. He's been playing since he was 5 years old. Well, now by the time he's 35, of course it's going to come a lot more easily to him than it would, someone who doesn't play very often. People look at me when it comes to, rapping. I started trying to practice, rapping and listening to other people's records when I was 13. And I started writing my own original raps when I was 19. And I'm 47 now.
Like I said, overnight success.
Oh, yeah. So you think about writing your own original raps from 19 and then, all right, here we are, 47.
Yeah.
It might seem easy to somebody, but I've been doing that since I was a kid. And I've been trying at it. There was the 6 years before it, when I started at 13 practicing listening to other people's raps, understanding cadence, understanding rhyme flow, and all of that stuff. It's not like it's something that just, you don't just wake up and all of a sudden, all right, today I'm going to be a rapper. I've got we've got triplet kids.
Yeah.
And one of my boys loves entertainment. He wants to be an entertainer. He wants to be in movies. He wants to do music. He wants to do TV. He loves to do all of it. So he watches all of his favorites, and he's like, okay, Dad. He's like, okay, Dad, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do a show with you in Dallas, okay? And we're gonna do it next Tuesday. I'm like, huh? We're doing what? And I was like, buddy, it's not that simple. He's like, what do you mean it's not that simple? You do it. And I was like, no, it's not that simple, buddy. It's more than just saying, hey, I'm gonna go do a show in Dallas. I have to first find a venue, first be able to have enough time to promote the show, and then have to figure out a way to get everything squared away to make sure everything happens. Is the band available? What are the other particulars that I need to deal with? I just can't. Well, I'm going to get up and just do a show with you next time you go out with Uncle John and Uncle Kenny. I'm like, okay, buddy, it's a little bit different than that. It's not like we just jump in, So, I'm trying to get him to understand that and still encouraging him. He wants to do movies. I said, well, all right, buddy, you need to make sure you practice. For movies, they're going to want to make sure you speak clearly, no slang. You have to project when you talk. Maybe when you get into junior high and high school, if you practice in the school play, that will help you get your start, so you can get used to it. Then you could do auditions. I'm going to be in the next movie. Oh, yeah? Okay. When are the auditions? Well, the movie comes out next week, so I'm going to go. I'm like, no. If you're seeing trailers, that means the movie's been cast and shot already, probably about 6 months to a year in advance.
At least, yeah.
So, I'm explaining him those things, and it's just interesting, it's not that easy, and I guess, people don't understand that.
With the music, I could appreciate some of it, but then when my daughter went on tour and helped with the social media for a band, she told me the actual days, getting done, wrapping up, waiting for all the texts to load everything up in the buses and all that at 2, 3 in the morning.
Yep.
And then literally driving for 6 to 8 hours to the next place.
Yep.
And then wake up, unload everything, do it all over again, get done at 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Get on a bus, sleep in your submarine sleeping quarters, basically.
Yeah, sleeping in the racks. You're in the bunk. Yeah. It's like it's like that. And you eat a lot of the part I induce, a lot of truck stop coffee and truck stop food and all that stuff. Sometimes you get some good food at truck stops, depending on where you go. Other times you get a gut grenade, and it just depends. And if you get a gut grenade and you're on a tour bus, you got problems because you can't use the facilities there like you do at home. So then you got to find another rest stop or something else.
It's the same way when I'm traveling,
Yeah.
I'm driving up, I got a 7-8 hour drive. You got to start finding the right places to stop. There's certain places I stop at now, and I'll try some new places. Like, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, got to get off the road here.
Yep.
It's the same thing, and that's what I don't think. Like, the people in the office where I work at, they're like, oh, you're so lucky you get to drive around and travel. And I'm like, I appreciate it. I mean, I take pictures where I go because I'm so happy that I'm there. But at the same time, car breaks down, car accidents, big rigs blocking the freeway, so you sit there for an hour.
It's a grind.
Canceled appointments. I did an overnight, and the store owner asked me to stay for an extra day because he wasn't going to come back from his vacation until Thursday. Now I was supposed to be home on Wednesday, so I'm like, all right, I'll get the hotel, I'll get the dinner, breakfast. I show up to the store the next day. Oh, he didn't call you? He extended his vacation, so he wants to reschedule with you.
Awesome.
I'm like, okay. I'm 5 hours from home. I could have been home last night.
Yeah.
I didn't have to spend the money for the hotel, the food, everything else, plus the time away from the family.
Yeah. It's a grind. But you love what you do.
Yeah. And then you call them up and you go, hey, no problem. We'll make it up on the next one. Just like when you could have the sound guy could get sick and this didn't go right and that, but when you hit the stage, it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Now, there are times you have to be careful, like depending on what type of promoter you deal with. Sometimes you get, the promoter, if it's a reputable promoter, everything goes well. Yeah. But if it's somebody that's kind of, sketch, then, you have to worry about, hey, did they get all your dough? Are you going to get paid? That's why a lot of artists that are new don't understand, like the booking aspect and making sure you get deposits. You can't just go on the okie doke like, yeah. You come here, you drive 3 hours, you come here, you play the show, and we'll get you paid afterwards. No, buddy.
Let me get some cash up front first.
You got to get a deposit. Yeah. And I say that because I've learned that. It took me getting burned by a promoter when you show up and you do the show and you don't get all your money, or sometimes you just or they write you a check and you get burned on the check. It's like, look, and it's not cool. It's one of the crappiest feelings because then it's like, you deposit the check, play a big festival, you deposit the check, and it was big in terms of size, not in terms of in terms of land size where it was, not in terms of money generated, because there were a number of things that the promoter didn't take into account. It was like 2008. They didn't take into account that there were 3 other major festivals right in the area within 50 miles of where we were playing. And then on top of that, there was a big hurricane coming, so everybody was leaving town pretty much, except for the few that were there.
Yeah,
and so the promoter lost their shirt. I mean, the promoter really lost their shirt on this one. And so then you got that, and then they write you the check, and then it's like all of a sudden, you get this call from your bank, and they're like, yeah, the check didn't clear. I'm like, what? So then you start calling your agent, and your agent's like, here's some of your options. You can do X, Y, and Z, or you can sue. I'm like, man, the cost of the lawsuit would cost double what it would cost for the check. I'm like, I can't afford that either. Exactly. So then you're out the money. And when you're sitting at home and you got, kids looking at you like, hey, I got to get these diapers changed, Dad.
I'm hungry, yeah.
There are certain things there were certain things that will test your mettle. Yeah. And they will test your resolve for sure. And
I don't know this about the music industry. Let me ask you this question real quick, if I can.
Sure.
In the sales world, I mean, I'll get the younger sales reps and people I meet on the road that will call me up and ask me for advice or opinions, knowing I've done it for 30 years. But there's, there are a lot of YouTube and people that will talk about business or sales, but Is there a format for bands or musicians upcoming that maybe are just hitting their local scene and they want to start striking out? Where can they reach out to, or is it just learn as you go?
A lot of it's learn as you go. Sometimes you'll have people that might put together, like a clinic or a seminar or something, but
like a mentorship program or something.
Yeah, a mentorship kind of thing, but mostly it's kind of like you got people that that you become buddies with, and you take them under your wing, so to speak, and you kind of show them the ropes, kind of a thing. But there's really not a whole lot of that I've seen. I mean, maybe there might be someone who has had experience in the industry, and they might be trying to say, hey, this is how you do the music business. And I've seen and heard about some things on social media where some of these cats, they really don't have the juice that they claim to have, right, and they don't have the experience that they claim to have, and they're trying to get people to pay them to, attend these seminars. But, you have to be very careful. If you're going to do something like that, you got to do your homework and find out, okay, who is this person? Who are they claiming to be? Who are they, saying that they have all this knowledge about the music industry? Who have they toured with? Who have they managed? Who have they worked with or helped or whatever it is? Who are their clients? And were their clients successful with their help? It's one thing. Yeah, I toured with X, Y, and Z and did this, and this. Well, were they successful because of your efforts, or were they successful because of their own? Did you help augment what they were doing, or were your contributions really inconsequential?
But that person probably, unless they're completely self-aware, wouldn't admit or tell you. I mean, if they're trying to sell you something, they're going to say, they wouldn't have done it as great as without me, but maybe they would have. And, so that's interesting.
Yeah. You really have to do your homework, because sometimes people will, I can get you, for example, you might find someone that says, hey, we're casting for people to be on an upcoming TV show. They won't say what it is because they can't.
Right.
And it might not even be a show yet. It might be a pilot that they're shooting. Who knows? You never know. And so they may go to the local mall and everybody has a casting call and people show up with their headshots and all that stuff. Well, hey, this is how you learn how to do this, this, and this. This is how you learn this in the business industry. And I've done one of those before, and it's like, well, okay, a lot of it's common sense kind of things.
Yeah. But
the question is, will working with this particular person get you into the business? Will they get you in the industry that you're trying to be in?
Well, now you're talking all hat, no cattle.
Well, there's a little of that too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I listen to that new song on your new album, it's completely related for what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Because I travel and I meet people, and I'm like, and you can just you kind of get a sense of, all right, you got a lot of BS going on here.
Yeah. That's funny when you come across people like that, because you can tell right away. Within the first, whenever people start dropping names, just out of the blue.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
Dude, I live in LA. I get that a lot.
Yeah, like, who do you know? I'm like, what do you mean, who do I know? I was like, who do you know? Well, I mean, why do you need to know who I know? Because I need to know if you know somebody. Oh, okay. All right, right, good.
I had that talk with my daughter who graduated television arts, and Allison, you met her.
Yep.
And and she works for a celebrity, and I know now people that really work for celebrities don't talk about it.
No.
So anyone that's bragging about it's like, whatever.
Yeah, many times people that work for celebrities in that level, those people have to sign non-disclosure agreements, and like you can't talk about any of the stuff that you see or hear I mean, you can't talk about my family life. You can't talk about where I live. I mean, it's very difficult to keep privacy. And as an artist, I mean, you're wanting the majority of it. When I think of privacy, I understand my life is pretty much an open book and everybody knows about me. But I want to shield my kids from the scrutiny and the nonsense because, you know, I don't talk about my kids very often. I mean, I haven't posted photos of my kids in quite some time. The photos that are out are photos of them when they were very small.
Right.
I don't post current photos of my kids because I don't want people to, you know, spend time, you know, stalking my kids on social media. I mean, it's like you look, it's really crazy. You know, my wife and I aren't friends on Facebook because we don't want
the tie-in.
We don't want people that are following my page to have access to look at her page where she actually sends pictures of the kids to friends and family. You know, if it's friends of mine that I want, or family that I want to, on my side of the family, I want to see the kids, I'll send it to their phone or text them or email.
You know, and for my daughter, I'm just like you a little bit. I'm, you know, very proud of her because, you know, with the millennials and the advent of phones and, you know, videos, Snapchats, Instagrams, you know, pictures that you can take. You know, I think it's difficult for that age group to not take pictures and do that type of thing and release information until she signed her NDA.
Yeah.
Her NDA, and I went, you know, just so you know, that's not dad help.
Yeah.
Dad can't help you out of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't do anything if you violate the non-disclosure agreement. You're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But the thing is what I think about is operating in a fashion like we did when I was doing human resources. There was a period of time when I went to work for the city of Dallas in the HR department over at City Hall. And one of the people that I reported to, you know, and he was training me and things of that nature. And he would always talk about, especially when he would do new employee orientation. Yeah. And one of the things he would talk about is behave in a way at work that you wouldn't mind having to talk about it to strangers. Because if you get in trouble at work, you're going to have to go to court, and they're going to be a jury of whoever it is, you know, that you're going to have to explain your actions. So don't behave in a way unless you're comfortable telling perfect strangers exactly what's going on. You know, don't go doing stupid things at work. Don't go. I mean, it was really interesting when he talked about it that way. I was like, you know what? You act like act the same way you would as if you were going to have to tell a jury of your peers.
Yeah. Or your mom and dad.
That too.
Yeah, you know, anything for self responsibility.
You know, hey, would you tell your basketball coach what you just did? Then don't do it. You know, exactly. if you don't want to tell your high school coach, because you know coach would make you run extra laps if you did something crazy. You know, so it's that kind of thing. But anything that would basically kind of, you know, hit you in the head and like, hey man, that's not cool. You can't do that at work. That was and same thing with your social media. Don't put anything on social media that you wouldn't mind, you know, coming out in a court of law of having to explain that. Or telling your folks, hey, yeah, well, I did this, and this. What is this picture of you doing a keg stand at spring break? What's that all about? If you really wouldn't want your family to know about that, then you probably shouldn't post that, you know, on your social pages.
You know, my daughters are a little old, you know, 23 and 24 now. And I told them, I said, you know, you guys are crazy if you think we didn't do stupid things when we were your age. We just didn't record them.
Right. See, nowadays, you guys have what's called a transcript. You've got evidence.
Yeah, exactly. When I talk to my friends from my high school and early 20 days, we tell some really great stories. but that's all they are.
Yeah, there's no track record of it, and what's really difficult for the younger people now is that they're dealing with it in terms of hiring, because prospective employers go and scout out your social media pages.
Well, I know some of the employers. I mean, when I was hiring people for an old job, I had 70 employees working for me, and we didn't have social media back then, you know. But I know a lot of companies now, they say, give us your password.
They want to look.
Give us your password to your Facebook, your Instagram. They want to see. So, you know, you hear a lot of the kids say, oh, it's on private or this or that. Is it going to be on private when they ask you for your password and you can't get the job unless you give it to them?
Well, because they need to know what kind of person they're hiring. Are you going to be someone who is one way in person, but then on social media you appear unhinged?
Exactly.
I mean, think about it. People want to know who they're hiring. I mean, I remember hearing about, I forget what it was, with this one particular person. This young person went and got a job at a restaurant, or a small mom and pop kind of shop restaurant, and they didn't really want to have that job, but they needed the dough because they had to buy something. And they went online and said something crazy. I mean, I really hate this job. I just got it, but man, I really don't want to work there because it's a crappy kind of place, blah, 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 blah. And they didn't realize that the shop owner went out and followed their social media page and saw the comment. And then they replied, well, you know what? You don't have the job anymore. Never mind. And they tagged them on the social media page. So the kid was popping off.
Social media.
Yeah, popping off. Then you got fired for what you did, for what you said.
I can tell you the story that just came across that I know. I mean, I know the people involved. Sales rep tells the boss, I'm going to be here, here, and here, and here, and then post on social media that they were actually at a game. Like
a ball game?
A football game. And it's like, that person would still have a job, probably, if they didn't post stuff like that. Because then the boss calls up. They checked in on Facebook. Yeah, at the ball game. Woo! And then it's like, oh, you didn't realize your boss was actually scoping out what you're doing? Yeah, and the boss called the accounts and said, hey, did this person come by? They're like, no. Well, okay.
So they went to the game. They said they were going to come by, didn't go by, and they're still at the game. It'd be one thing if they went and did the accounts first and handled the business and then went after they finished.
Totally.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I do that all the time, man.
Yeah, if you finish your work early, cool. Knock off and go do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's where when I travel, and I had a friend put on my Facebook page, because I post whenever I travel, I try and hit national parks, the beaches, ranches, whatever, just so I can take some photos. And I'll post them up, and he goes, man, how do you get don't you work? Was one of the comments. And I'm like, dude, this was at sunset after I just put in 3.5 hours of driving. I did 2 appointments, and so I took an extra half hour to go to a national park. I go, this was a work trip. Just like, I go, part of my territory is Hawaii. So I post pictures from Hawaii, and my friends are like, oh my God, what a life. And I'm like, yeah, well, I had to pay for the ticket, no guarantee of income. And this is what I was talking to Hunter Cure about, Everyone's like, oh my God, you're a professional rodeo cowboy. You get to travel around. There's no guarantee of income.
No.
Just like you said with the promoter who could go rogue on you and go bad, or a hurricane shows up so you don't get the ticket sales that you were expecting. I mean, there's people I don't think people see that. They just see, oh, you're traveling, you're out on the road. I mean, I went to Hawaii. I had 2 accounts on Maui. It's a 6-hour flight, hotel, food, airfare, all that. I show up, and the buyer for the store called in sick that day.
Oh, no.
I'm like, she realizes I just flew 6 hours to come see her, right? Oh my God, she's going to feel so bad. I think she just forgot you were coming in, and she called in sick this morning. I'm like, boy,
that sucks.
boy.
Oh, man.
And you're like,
that's rough, man.
And I'm like, because I have an account on Oahu, went on Big Island, so I was going to make money on the trip, but I'm like, boy, really?
Man, yeah, I get that, man. As a salesman, there's a lot of similarities to what we do, and and I can say that because I've done sales.
You're still a good salesman.
I have to be.
No, I'm talking about boots.
Yeah, I can still.
You're the only person I've ever had help me sell boots at an event.
Yeah, I can sell boots. I can still do it because I had the experience. But I'm telling you, you have to be. You're always trying to figure out a way to encourage them. If they come into your store, if someone comes into your store, they have the intent of buying something. So why not help them with their decisions? Because if you don't help them, they're going to walk out and go down the street. Same thing when they come to the show.
That's right.
You're at the festival. You walk up to the merch tent. You have the intent of buying something. Let me help you. That's why I spend more of my time during the day at the merchandising tent, because I know that I will sell more if I'm sitting there than I would if I'm, 300 yards away on a stage that I look really small, teeny tiny from a distance from the back of the crowd. Because people say, oh, you're that guy from TV. You're that guy from Big and Rich. You're the guy that does this and this. Yeah, it's me. How you doing? What are you doing here selling your own shirts? Yeah. It's like, who's going to sell my shirt better than me? It's my shirt.
The humility that you have, I think, is what makes you special, though. And kind of the gratitude you have towards, and maybe it's because you did work for, several years in human resources, and you weren't always Cowboy Troy in that sense.
Working at Foot Locker will do that. Selling shoes, it's you learn. I still have my Foot Locker jersey with my name tag on it.
Yeah,
I still have it. And for the first year on tour, I kept it all summer long. The first year, I kept it all summer, all fall. It's like I was out there because I knew it served as a reminder. Yeah. Every time I'd open the closet on the bus for a shirt, it would serve as a reminder that if I messed up, I would have to go back to the mall selling shoes.
How hard do you want to work to not do that? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's some honest work. It's honest work. I don't mind it at all. I like it, and I can respect it. Well, I respect it, but it's hard work in the sense that you're on your feet 12 hours a day, and sometimes you have customers that come in and their feet smell like hot pickles, and then you got some customers that it's like what if the air conditioning ain't working at the mall and it's 100 degrees outside and it's a hot box inside. I've had it happen. It's
me too.
It's not comfortable, but you still have to be there because your customer needs some kind of product. They're gonna get it from somewhere, so you got to make sure that you're the one that provides it.
Well, yeah, because I worked at a little rodeo in Pueblo, Colorado, and they had the swamp cooler, but the swamp cooler only works when it's got cold water running through it. So it was blowing hot air.
Ew.
Because it had hot water in it. So people were going outside to 100-degree weather because it was cooler outside in 100 than it was muggy and sticky inside the convention hall.
Yep, that happened.
Yeah, but yet, I called the boss. He goes, "Hey, how are sales?" I go, "Dude, we got some conditions here, man. The convention hall is terrible."
Boss doesn't want to hear about that.
How are sales? I didn't ask how the hall was.
They want to know how the product's moving.
Yeah. They
don't want to hear your excuses because they've been through it too. They know. They've been through it.
Exactly. And that's, I think that's the one thing I tried. I was just talking to my oldest daughter, and like I said, they look and go, "Man, you got a nice house, you got a car, you travel." I'm like, kind of 30 years of sales. You want to hear about some of the crappy jobs I've had?
Oh yeah. I'll be happy to share those stories.
Yeah, I got those too, and just like you, I think about It's not that it was a bad job. I mean, it put food on my table. But I'll do a whole lot to not have to go back to that.
No kidding.
You know.
No kidding.
So,
Hey, Pete, can you hang on just a bit?
Yeah, you bet, bud.
Hang on just a second. Got my charger. There we go.
Charge that phone up. You can't let that thing die. It's your lifeline.
Yeah. Sorry. You
No,
be talking to me, and then all of a sudden, hey, Troy, you there? You there?
Been there, done that too.
What happened?
Like, what did they say? You all fired up?
I am.
All right, bud. Well, hey, you know, the name of my podcast is Travel Wins, and for me, my travel win is my photography. You know, like yesterday, my travel win, I had my boss in town, and the travel win was going down Sunset, and we stopped at a restaurant across the street from Sunset Tower Hotel. And it's an old Art Deco building.
Mm-hmm.
I've driven by it literally dozens of times. And he goes, God, that's a cool looking building. So I go, let me pull it up on Google, see what you know, the background on it. And that was the building that John Wayne rented out, lived in the penthouse back in the 50s, 40s. And he brought a cow up the elevator to one of his parties at 3 a.m. Marilyn Monroe lived in the building. Howard Hughes lived in the building. Clark Gable lived in the building. You know, so
back before they were all super popular, I guess, or this is at the height of their popularity.
It was at the height. It used to be called the Argyle. It was built in 31. It was the tallest residence tower in L.A. when it was built.
So
now it's a hotel, but it used to be a restaurant.
Wow.
And like I said, I've driven by that. It's just right across the street from the Saddle Ranch.
Yeah.
And,
I know the Saddle Ranch.
So when you look across the street, you'll see a 15-story Art Deco building, and I was like, I've eaten at the Saddle Ranch. You know, I'm going to the Comedy Store tomorrow night for my. So, anyways, my travel one was like, I had a good meeting, everything went good, all that, which you know you hope it does. But then you know I got something new out of it. I learned something new, and for me, the photography, I do the same thing. Like if I can get a scene at sunset or something I thought about trying to shoot or whatever. And it kind of keeps my brain busy when I'm on the road, so I'm not just thinking about, oh my God, how much money do I have to, how much product do I have to sell this trip to break even and then make profit, and then, you know, where am I going to be? So I try not to focus too much on that because then it makes it too much pressure. But do you have any travel wins?
My travel win usually revolves around food.
There you go.
I mean, if I can find a good place, I generally have a tendency to rate my experience based upon my food experience within a town.
I hear you.
So, I mean, if there is a good restaurant that I really enjoy the food, the rating that I kind of give a town will be based upon, you know, my experience there.
I gotcha.
Or if I have some time, if there is a tavern or something, you know, you get a nice local beer or have glass of whiskey or something for your downtime. That's another thing that is nice. You know, it's not like you're out causing a ruckus, running around partying with your buddies. It's just like you're chilling out. You know, the game is on inside the tavern. You're having a cocktail, and you know, and if there's food that's there, it's really good. Then that's kind of how I kind of pay attention to it.
No, I hear you. I mean, I went to Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yeah,
had some good eats there in the downtown area.
See, I haven't eaten in Winston-Salem.
And I still remember it. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So yeah, that's cool. Do you rely only on referrals, or do you use an app, or how do you find a good place to eat, or is it just luck of the draw?
Sometimes it's luck of the draw. Sometimes if you're riding around in the Uber, you ask a couple questions about what to get where, and sometimes it happens there. The hotel may have a good recommendation. Sometimes it's previous experience from having played shows in a town.
Yeah.
And, I remember having a really good, plate of fajitas at this town. I think I'll eat there next time I come back. Or, anything, But, yeah, I try, I'm not going to miss too many meals. I mean,
you are kind of a big man, so.
Yeah, I mean, I like to eat my groceries,
Yeah, why waste them when you can eat them?
Yeah, no need of wasting food.
So that's your big try. I like that.
Travel win for me is food.
Exactly.
Food and beverage.
Oh, yeah. The beverage part's, I think the beverage part's easier though, right? I mean, I guess it's really the there was a martini bar in Portland that was really good.
Yeah.
All they served were martinis. And they had a full library catalog of all, like 60, 70 different martinis they could make.
Okay.
And
that's cool. I've never experienced that.
I'm a sweet guy. I like sweets.
Yeah.
They had a Girl Scout cookie Thin Mint martini, and it
wow.
tasted exactly like eating, like you would expect to drink a Thin Mint.
Huh. That's interesting. I've never thought about that.
They had just a ton of different, and I was like, because I'm not a martini guy, and my client wanted to go to this bar. I'm like, well, then you go to the bar. You know what I mean?
Right, of course. I mean, you can find something to drink there.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that looks good. Oh my God, look at that, a caramel fudge sundae martini, and and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, oh man. The Thin Mints, I think I had 3 of them that night, plus some others, but it was just like, all of a sudden you're like, whoa. Okay,
yeah, you gotta pace yourself.
They are putting some gin in those. Okay.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, you told me that in Vegas. I know all about that.
Well, I know Vegas that way.
Well, it's interesting now that because I turned 51 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations! Happy birthday early.
I appreciate it. But 30 years of going to Vegas. I went there when I was 21.
Oh.
And so now when I go, and I'm like, man, I've been down that road. I ain't doing that again. Then you see the young guys going out, let's go. And I'm like, I'm good, bro.
Yeah, man.
I know right where I need to be.
Seen this movie before.
Yeah.
I know how it turns out.
I don't need a repeat of the old movie. Yeah.
No. Seeing this, I'm going to do it.
Rocky 2 wasn't as good as Rocky 1. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was good, but it wasn't as good.
Rocky 4 was really cool.
I like the last one. It's just Rocky or Rocky Balboa or whatever. I thought that was okay.
I haven't seen it.
I thought it was good. I mean, the shape that guy's in at 68 or 69 in that movie.
Goodness.
Craziness. To see, I mean, I can't even imagine. So, but it was a good movie. But, they had Rocky 3 with, I think that was Mr. T, right?
And Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and Hulk Hogan. The acting was a little sketcy, but the action was good. That's why you go to
in 83, what are you going to do? What are you going to worry about? I mean, it's 1983.
Oh, dude, I know. And Hulk Hogan wasn't Hulk Hogan. You know, I mean, he wasn't. That movie kind of broke him out.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a big WWF star, but he became a world. You know, Mr. T was the same way. He was on A Team, and then well, now we're dating ourselves, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not. I still feel young until I get around my daughters.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, let's go do this, and this. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not cool anymore. Man. I'm just the old guy now. I'm good.
What? There's something to be said for gray hair.
When I hit 50 last year, I was like, man, that's pretty good. I'm halfway.
The gray hair is the experience that you've acquired.
Most of it from having 2 daughters. And you're going to have 3 going through this. God bless you.
Yeah.
At least I had a break. You know, they're a year. My daughters are a year apart. But, well, you're going to have 3 going through the 3 cars. 3 people turning 16 at the same time.
Not 3 cars, man. 1 car, and you take turns and you share.
Rock, paper, scissors, huh?
Yeah. Whichever one has a job, they get the access to the car the most because they got to drive to work. If you don't want a job, then you got to take.
And they can pay for the gas, and they can pay for things if they have a job.
Yeah, they can pay for things. They got a job, and you know they can. But if you get the car, you have to drop your brothers off at school and home. How's that?
But see, that my oldest daughter was so happy when she turned 16, and I go, you're not as happy as me because guess what? You get to take your younger sister to her soccer practice. You need to take her here. She's like, what? I'm like, oh yeah.
They're like, no, I'm not doing it. Okay, well then you're not getting the key.
Exactly. I go, if you want to drive, part and parcel. That's the deal, my friend.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it works. Everybody's got responsibilities in this house.
That's all I've got.
You know.
That's how it works. Well, Troy, I'm going to let you go. I know you got a big day tomorrow with the festival tomorrow, and I cannot thank you enough for the time you gave me tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome, Pete. Thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate it, and I'll keep listening to Laugh With Me, and you keep having fun out there, man. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Troy. I really appreciate it, bud.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.